Hello, this is Matt Rogers from Salisbury Elementary School, and today we're talking about Unit 2, Lesson 14. How do we compare methods of multiplication and estimate products of two-digit numbers? We'll specifically talk about why estimating is important and how we use it a little bit later in the lesson. When I get started, I'm looking at a problem 84 times 68. So I expand 84 to 80 plus 4 and 68 into 60 plus 8. I use my area model as shown at the center of this picture just to organize all of my information and help me solve the problem. I also can write my answers down below similar to the place value method with 60 times 80, 60 times 4, 8 times 80, 8 times 4. That gives me our four partial products. When I add them up, I get a total amount. A lot of our conversation today was about how real-world connections, in other words, how do we use estimation, multiplication in the real world? So we have three examples that we look at. So for instance, we might look at the area model, how much space something might be covering. In this case, we talk about something as a field is 68 feet wide, 84 feet long. What is the area of the field? You could also use maybe the size of a wall. Say it's 68 inches by 84 inches long. How much do you have to paint? What is the area of the wall? An array is when we use our dots to go and identify the amount of total items. So for instance, you might have 68 rows of blueberry bushes or apple trees, and in each row we have 84 bushes or trees. How many total plants do you have? Also equal groups. If I were to have a certain number of items in a bag or in a particular item, and I have a specific number of those items, for instance, I have 84 bags and there are 68 buttons in each bag, that's what we're talking about to figure out a total amount of something, in this problem, number of buttons. Also, we talk about when we would estimate. Really, what is the reason that we use estimation? And the two that we really talk about is in time and with money. Time to estimate how long something will take or how long it'll take you to get somewhere, and money is how much do I need to have to make sure I have enough for the product that you want to purchase. When we got into these conversations, we talked about how traditionally we estimate by rounding up or down. In some cases, by rounding up or down, we talked today about how you can underestimate, and when you underestimate with certain things as time or money, you have problems. If you underestimate with time, then you might make someone late, or you might be late for an event. If you underestimate with money, you might get too many things and not have enough money. Makes for an uncomfortable trip to the cashier. So, in those cases, we talked about when is it better to round up to overestimate, or when can you just estimate our normal rounding method. In the next set of problems, we took our information and broke it down into two different problems. So, for the most part, we have rounded up top and then our exact answer on bottom. So, for instance, in question number 1, 28 and 74, in green I have as an product of 2,100. I get that from estimating the amount. 28 I would round up to 30, and 74 I would round down to 70. So 3 times 7 is 21, and then I would add the two zeros from the 30 and the 70. And then I would get an exact answer and compare to see how close I was. The next one, for instance, 84 rounds down to 80. 27 rounds up to 30, which gives me an estimated amount of 2,400. And to round out the row, 93, times 57. 93 rounds down to 90. 57 rounds up to 60 gives us 54. When I do 9 times 6, add the two zeros, I have 5,400. Down below, you can see when I actually multiply 93 by 57, I get 5,301, which in all actuality is fairly close, which makes this reasonable. I continued that for 4 through 9 as well. Number 10 and 11 we actually skipped over today because we've been writing a whole lot of multiplication word problems, but if you feel inclined, you can always work on creating and writing a word problem and then solving it. Next, we have our friendly friend Puzzle Penguin. Talks about how Puzzle Penguin's trying to build flower boxes 42, and each of those boxes needs 13 nails. So he multiplies 40 by 10, which gives him 400, and because of that number of 400, he ends up buying 400 nails, and his friends think that he doesn't have enough. In class, we talked about how for the 42 and the 13, both times he rounded down. In those cases, when I actually do the number, I know that it's going to be above 400 nails. When I have a need that's above and I estimate it down and only buy 400 nails, I'm not going to have enough, or I underestimated the amount. In the next problem, we have Sally's friend taking an 18-day vacation, $14 per day to take care of their cat. How much money should they save? What I ended up doing is rounding 18 to 20 and 14 down to 10 like I normally did. It gives me a total answer of $200 as my estimated cost. In actuality, when I do 18 times 14, the actual cost is $252. We talked about how that means that you would have paid the veterinarian $52 less than what they deserve. That would not be a great thing while you're on vacation, that the veterinarian doesn't take care of your pet, especially when you're not anywhere close to come get the cat. But by underestimating, again, you've once again identified that you don't have enough money prepared to actually cover the cost. In 14, we talked about 47 tiles for a mosaic to make 21 mosaics. How many tiles does the artist need to buy? In this case, 47 rounds up to 50, and 21 rounds down to 20, which gives us a total of 1,000 tiles. When I do the actual number, I get 47 times 21, which is 987. In this case, I do not need to overestimate because I will have enough tiles to cover the actual amount. And that's because we rounded the 47 up while making the 21 go down to 20. This is pretty much what we covered. Again, it's a conversation about how to estimate and then when it is best to estimate by rounding up or down. Specifically, we talked about time and money being the two times where it's always better to be safer than sorry, and rounding up as opposed to sticking to the five or more, raise the score, 4 or less, give it a rest. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.